On March 14th, open-source satellite trackers detected something running at high speed through the South China Sea. Not a carrier, not a destroyer. An amphibious assault ship, USS Tripoli LHA-7. The ship most defense analysts had written off as a failed experiment. On her flight deck, up to 20 F-35B Lightning II stealth fighters. In her hull, 2,500 Marines. Destination, Hormuz. Here is why that matters. The United States Navy has already destroyed 120 Iranian warships. 60 hulls sit on the bottom of the Gulf. Missile factories are rubble. Drone production lines are silent. 2 carrier strike groups hold the perimeter from opposite oceans. Lincoln commands the Arabian Sea. Ford locks down the Red Sea. From the outside, the siege looks complete, but Hormuz is still closed. More than 150 tankers sit anchored outside the Strait, hemorrhaging fuel costs while they wait. Brent crude holds above $100 a barrel because the market price is certainty. And right now, certainty does not exist. 800 tankers. That's the real number, not a hypothetical, not a simulation. 800 ships, crude carriers, LNG giants, product tankers, all stranded in a holding pattern at the mouth of the Persian Gulf. They burn fuel, they pay crews, they lose millions every day, waiting for a single word, safe. But no one can say that. Not Lloyd's of London, not the U.S. Fifth Fleet, not the insurance syndicates who set the price of fear. In early March, a war risk premium for a single Hormuz transit jumped from $12,000 to $55,000 overnight. That is a 350% spike for the privilege of sailing past Abu Musa with an IRGC radar lock. The math is brutal. Each day the Strait stays closed, the market bleeds. Brent crude surges past $106 a barrel. The world's largest shippers, Maran, MOL, Dynagas, scramble for alternate routes that do not exist. The paradox is as old as the Strait itself. It does not take a fleet action to shut Hormuz. It takes one burning hull, one missile, one mine, one drone strike, real or rumored, and the insurance market does the rest. In 2019, a single missile strike on the College Fars shut the corridor for 48 hours. In 2020, a drone hit on the British Gulf froze UAE exports for 4 days. The pattern repeats. One ship, total shutdown. The system is calibrated to panic. That is why more than half the tankers anchored in March 2026 never even tried to run the gauntlet. They waited for guarantees that never came. Every analyst knows the numbers. 16 transits recorded in a week, down from 150 per day. War risk underwriters issue exclusion notices. Brent's volatility spikes 3% day after day. The world's energy supply is held hostage by market psychology, not firepower. No amount of naval gunfire can escort every ship through a minefield, not when a single explosion resets the clock. The U.S. Navy's dilemma is clear. 2 carrier groups can dominate the open ocean, but they cannot promise certainty inside the Strait. Certainty is the only currency that counts, and right now the market is bankrupt. Tripoli is not a carrier. It was never meant to be. The Navy stripped out the well deck, the very heart of classic amphibious doctrine, and poured that space into aviation. Hangar volume doubled, maintenance bays, fuel tanks, and a 30-bed surgical hospital replaced the old landing craft garage. Congressional hearings in 2015 called it a gamble. Critics called it a failed experiment, a ship with no true home. But in the Hormuz equation, that experiment becomes the answer. In April 2022, off San Diego, Tripoli's Lightning carrier trial put theory to sea. The ship launched and recovered 12 F-35Bs, 3 Ospreys, and 4 CH-53Ks in a single operational cycle. 12 stealth fighters, not the 20-some theorists claim, but enough to fill the deck and prove the math. Navy fact sheets confirm the limit. 12 jets for sustained operations, up to 18 for a short sprint. The 20 F-35B scenario exists only in PowerPoint, never in a live fire deployment. But the point is not the headline number. The point is what happens when you push a pocket carrier inside the threat ring, close, within 100 nautical miles of the Strait. The difference is Time. A Nimitz-class carrier forced to loiter 500 miles out turns every sortie into a marathon. F-35Bs burn an hour just to reach the fight, then circle for 40 minutes before heading home. From Tripoli, at 100 miles, the same jet is overhead in 13 minutes, with triple the loiter time, 90 minutes on station, not 30. That is not a marginal gain. That is the difference between a patrol gap measured in hours and a continuous umbrella measured in minutes. Tripoli's escort roster is not theoretical. The ship sails with USS Robert Smalls, USS Rafael Peralta, USS New Orleans, and USS San Diego, 4 hulls, layered air defense, anti-submarine screens, and amphibious lift for the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. 2,500 Marines, backed by a hospital and the fuel to keep jets flying. It is a complete vertical assault package, ready to launch from sea to shore without waiting for a mine-swept lane. The design that once drew scorn, no well deck, too much aviation, too little tradition, now defines the only platform that can promise certainty inside Hormuz, not by covering every ship, but by shrinking the window of risk until it closes for good. 3 islands, Abu Musa, Greater Tumb, Lesser Tumb, names that barely register in Western news, yet every shipmaster in the Gulf knows them by heart. Each is a fortress, reinforced concrete, radar domes, mobile missile shelters, and gun emplacements traced by fresh Earth scars visible from orbit. The garrison, 800 IRGC, split across the rocks, 500 dug in on Abu Musa, 150 each on the Tumbs. Not conscripts. These are Southern Fleet regulars, missile crews, fast attack boat teams, and air defense operators, all under direct IRGC command. Their job is simple: make the Strait impassable. They don't need to sink a fleet. One hit, one crippled hull, and the insurance market does the rest. But the calculus changes when you stop thinking in terms of beaches and start thinking in terms of vertical assault. The minefields and coastal artillery that would shred a landing craft mean nothing to a force that comes from above. In Exercise Iron Fist 26, the 31st MEU drilled the playbook, Ospreys and CH-53Ks lifting Marines straight over the surf, touching down beyond the kill zone, bypassing every obstacle the IRGC spent years building. No need for a swept channel, no waiting for a beachhead. A single wave of MV-22s can insert a rifle company onto the high ground of Abu Musa in under 20 minutes. HIMARS launchers sling, loaded by helicopter, radar arrays set up before the first IRGC counterattack can even mobilize. The island's fixed defenses, designed to repel an amphibious assault, become irrelevant when the fight comes from the sky. The old logic of fortress islands dies in the face of vertical envelopment. The only question left: how fast can the Marines get there? And how long can the defenders hold out when the threat comes from every direction at once? Expeditionary Advanced Base Operations, called EABO in official doctrine, rewrites the rules for holding a choke point. The Marines do not build fortresses, they build pop-up kill zones. A forward arming and refueling point, called FARP, materializes overnight on a slab of rock or a scrap of coastline. HIMARS launchers roll off a CH-53K, set up on a patch of gravel, and within minutes, the entire strait is inside their range ring. ATAC-EMS rockets hit targets out to 162 nautical miles. The new precision strike missile stretches that reach to 270 nautical miles. One launcher, one crew, and the ability to strike from anywhere, not just the obvious beaches, but the blind spots, the back doors, the places Iranian planners never expected to be threatened. This is not just about firepower, it is about logistics as a weapon. Each FARP becomes a node in a web, fuel, ammo, spare parts, and a landing zone for Ospreys or F-35Bs needing to rearm. The ship, the shore, and the air all fuse into a single shifting stack of force. The corridor does not open because every threat is destroyed. It opens because every threat is forced to guess: where is the next launcher, the next radar, the next Marine platoon? The risk of a single missile closing the strait flips. Now it is Iran's gunners who have to wonder if a HIMARS is already locked onto their coordinates before they even fire. But the game cuts both ways. Iranian Mohajer-6 drones circle overhead, hunting for these pop-up bases. A swarm of UAVs can spot a HIMARS before it shoots. Mines and anti-ship missiles still lurk in every channel. The Marines can move fast, but so can the enemy sensors. The promise of distributed power is real, but so is the risk of being isolated, outnumbered, or found first. EABO is not a magic shield. It is a knife fight in a hall of mirrors, speed, concealment, and the constant threat that one mistake puts the whole corridor back in the dark. 1. A $3 billion ship, 20 stealth jets, 90 miles from Iranian launchers, not 500 miles. In the Strait of Hormuz, a single tanker aflame outweighs a $1 trillion fleet. The future isn't about bigger carriers, it's about who closes the gap first. Is that the next revolution in war? Drop your perspective below.